You've probably heard how a number of meat processing plants in Nebraska had to temporarily close or slow down production during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The fallout left some livestock producers with the tough decision of whether or not to euthanize animals that had nowhere to go. And even if it never came to that for you, it was a grim reality nonetheless. That's why the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources is encouraging people to see how they can help through the Disaster Care Program. Market Journal's Bill Dodd has more.
It's a hard time for many livestock producers throughout the state and around the country. Many market-ready animals are unable to be harvested due to slowing or closing meat processing plants, coupled with smaller meat lockers being inundated with orders. This scenario has left many producers with the gut-wrenching decision of having to euthanize their livestock. This is going to be a large job to handle, and those at UNL's Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources are working to ensure producers can get the materials they need through the Disaster Community Aid Resources Exchange website.
The website is set up to be on demand and available at any time, and essentially to facilitate the connection between the farmer needing the material and the individual who has material available. So anybody can access the website by going to disastercare.unl.edu. You do have to register, which only requires an email and a password. And then you can click on one of two buttons, either I need to locate resources or I have resources available. And if you click on I have resources available, then we have a fillable form that will ask you a number of questions about the amount, the location, if you have a charge per ton or per bale or per yard. And then it will also ask if you have the ability to load the material at the site and or deliver material to the farm, because we know that this may be something that producers need to find. For a producer who wants to find material, they can go onto the website and click on I need material or I need resources, and then they can see by county what has been posted on the site. And so from there, it's up to the producer to contact the source that they find and work with them to facilitate exchanging the material. So we really don't have any role in the actual exchange of the material or making the connections between the people who need the resources and the people who have them.
While donations of materials are welcome and appreciated, a task of this magnitude requires a lot more material than any one person is likely capable of delivering. For that reason, those in charge of facilitating material exchanges are requesting donations of carbon sources for composting in very large quantities.
So right now, we currently are looking for large volumes of carbon material, which is essentially any dry or semi-dry plant-based material. So this could include wood chips, wheat straw, chopped corn stalks, any crop residue type product. And we're looking for large quantities. So while we realize that a lot of people may want to help, what we don't want are some small donations or listings of yard waste and materials like that. If citizens have a community dump site where they take their yard waste, then we would appreciate those municipalities listing those materials online. But we're looking, for several tons or several cubic yards at a time. And so for some of our larger swine operations, they may need 15 to 20 semi-truck loads of material to compost the number of animals they have.
With livestock production being a very large part of our state's economy, it stands to reason there will be a number of producers from the Missouri River to the Panhandle who will be in need of or have resources to make available. However, the state's pork producers have been dealt a very heavy hand throughout this ordeal.
So right now, it's primarily our swine producers that are in need of these materials, and they're fairly located on the eastern part of the state, but we do have some swine facilities out west as well. There's the potential that cattle producers may need this service down the road, and so we would just encourage anybody throughout the state who has materials to go ahead and post those. It may not lead to anyone contacting you, but it might might be something that is willing to travel a great distance to get a hold of as well.
When it comes time to dispose of any livestock, there are several guidelines to bear in mind. The first recommended step, however, should be to contact your local NRCS county office.
The NRCS is offering EQIP cost share for helping pay for this process. And so if they start with them and go through that application process, then they'll be in touch with NRCS and Department of Environment and Energy experts that are helping pick the correct sites for these compost piles to be placed and help them with the building and design. So we essentially our recommendations with the compost pile is, one, to use plenty of carbon material. The more, you really can't use too much. That carbon material serves as a source to absorb liquids and to insulate the pile so that the compost process heat up and actually decompose the animals that way. We need people to be aware of water quality concerns. So these need to be located in places where there's at least 4 feet to groundwater, and preferably in soils that are not well drained. And then any runoff that does occur from that site needs to be contained. It shouldn't be allowed to flow away from that compost site and off of the property or into waters of the state.
This is sure to be an economically and emotionally devastating ordeal for many people dealing with the meatpacking supply chain disruptions. Hopefully, the Disaster Care website will be a resource producers can rely on to help them secure materials and gain a bit of certainty in these uncertain times. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.